Hi everyone, welcome to our webinar today and thank you all very much for joining. My name is Liam Doyle. I am a product specialist here at StaffConnect, and part of my role is to host these webinars to discuss with people like yourselves how mobile technology can transform internal comms and increase employee engagement. I've had a strong interest in technology for many years now, and more recently how in particular it can improve the employee experience within the workplace. At StaffConnect, our vision of transforming employee communications and improving engagement is not only a mobile solution, but one that fundamentally simplifies and secures internal communications. I'm sure many of you have given thought to implementing such a solution, but had, I guess, reservations as to how difficult it might be to implement and use. Therefore, we have designed an easy, user-friendly experience for your employees, as well as the administrators who would be operating the system. So far, our previous webinars have focused on how a mobile solution can help engage your employees and how to successfully implement such a tool, the recordings of which are all available on our website if you'd like to watch them back. Today, however, we are going to focus on a specific feature of a mobile solution, namely enterprise chat, and the impact of having an inbuilt chat feature versus a rogue app that sits outside of the company's security. So you'll know the webinar will be split into three sections. Firstly, why your employees are using these apps, the problems that arise from their use, and finally, the alternative options, an inbuilt chat feature that is designed for the enterprise. So why are your employees using these apps? The answer is rather simple. They need an easy way of communicating with each other. This is primarily targeted at non-desk workers, those who don't necessarily have access to a work computer or have a corporate email account, a group of workers who account for a mass 80% of the global workforce. These employees, indeed all employees, need a way to communicate with their colleagues instantly, and one in which is easy for them to use. A communications app like WhatsApp, then, seems to be the way forward. Simple to use and with almost 2 billion users globally, the app allows your colleagues to easily message and communicate with each other, something that without the app would be so much harder to do. So communications have evolved over time, following the patterns of technology, from posting a letter to phoning and faxing, and now to the more millennial tool of instant messaging. Communications in the workplace had previously followed a similar line, moving from fax to emailing. Surely then it makes sense to move that step forward to instant messaging, not just on a computer, but on a mobile, using a tool that your employees are not only used to, but have access to, no matter where they are based, in an office or working remotely. WhatsApp and other similar apps are ones they use every day and ones that are easy to use. Therefore, it is unsurprising that your employees are using them for work, especially when they have no other appropriate tool for communications. As humans, the need to communicate with each other, it's strong, it's very innate within us. When there is no channel to communicate, this is when issues can begin to arise. So with many industries experiencing high levels of disengagement and attrition rates, organizations need to make employee engagement a priority to engage with their employees, especially in large enterprises whose employees are predominantly non-desk. When employees don't have an easy way to communicate with each other, they can often become disengaged and less productive, which has a negative impact on a company's performance, customer service, and profit. Apps like WhatsApp enable your employees to be able to communicate easily with each other. The problem then is not the type of channel they are using, i.e., instant messaging, but the tool, namely an unauthorized app like WhatsApp or Messenger, which has not been designed as an enterprise compliant tool. So to the second part of the webinar is, if I just move on the slide, the issues. So it is difficult to overlook why your employees are using the apps and the benefits that it brings them. An easy, necessary way of communicating with their colleagues. Something, as I mentioned, that without WhatsApp would be very difficult. However, these apps, they fall far short of sorting your organization communications issues. Indeed, with them come various problems and issues. So the first is the blur between your home or private communications and those for business. By using one app for both and not have them separated, conversation can often stray from that which is business related and verge on to personal events. Or another scenario, mistakes could happen and information could be sent to the wrong person. It doesn't take much for us to imagine an employee to carelessly select, I don't know, the wrong Tim Smith in their contacts and send the wrong person the wrong confidential file. It's a very worrying scenario which could lead to a troubling precedent on the way in which communication channels are used. A study by the Chartered Institute of Personnel and Development found that while 26% of practitioners found WhatsApp, they enhance the workplace, providing an opportunity for, mutual support, a far greater 40% believe that using the app undermined corporate culture. The problems lie then in the culture that might come with the use of these apps, the blurring between that which is business and that which is personal. A bigger concern, though, that WhatsApp in the workplace brings is the implications that it has on security. Firstly, as the app does not fall within the company's firewall or remit, they have no control over the content, users, or settings of the app. What's more is that these tools, they're not enterprise-grade applications, nor are they GDPR compliant. Although WhatsApp, yes, it does have end-to-end encryption, it's designed for consumer use, and the platform will be designed so that it is robust enough to support that and only that. For a group of friends organizing a party or parents discussing if the school is closed due to snow, apps like WhatsApp are more than sufficient. They're brilliant tools. But when they're used in the corporate world with colleagues sharing confidential financial information or new product designs, it brings with it serious concerns. The data protection controls that you would usually find for internal comms are simply not in place. While the teenagers organizing a party might not care that, the app is storing their conversations on servers in the US, a business in the UK or Europe might be wary of having their intellectual data on servers of an app they have no control over. A survey that I found published by Common Time on NHS Communications found that 43% of respondents relied on instant messaging apps, using them to discuss patient care, with a third of them admitting to using the apps to discuss rotas or shift handovers, 73% of which had created group chats to do so. Clearly then a popular channel for communications, but with employees using them for sensitive or private information, a more robust channel must be used, one that is enterprise compliant and has the necessary levels of security for such important communications. A further security concern occurs when an employee leaves the organization. So in this scenario, let's say an employee should no longer have access to company information or documents. They've left the company, they should no longer have access. However, on WhatsApp, they would still have access to the company group chats, which contains this information that they should, in theory, no longer have access to, but do so on the app. This is a significant potential risk for any organization. Private documents, sensitive information, or communications are now directly accessible to someone outside of the company. This, for most employees, it won't be an issue. But let's say, what happens when it does become one? Perhaps an employee was asked to leave, leaving the organization upset and angered at how they were treated. They know they have all this information at their disposal, and have the potential to cause a lot of damage to the company. It is a genuine and serious problem facing organizations today, but one that does have a solution, as I will go on to in a moment. So another problem is that when you allow your employees to choose the apps they use for communications, perhaps unknowingly, you hand control over to them. They now own the agenda. Who leaves, who joins, cliques are enabled and fortified, and those lying outside of these conversations can begin to feel excluded or even bullied. You know, the reason your employees started using these apps to secure a channel to communicate with each other can further increase disengagement levels as employees begin to feel alienated, bullied, and your staff turnover increases further. So another large question mark surrounding the use of rogue apps is the personal contact information of the user that the app displays. When using WhatsApp, anyone that you chat with, anyone, now has access to your phone number without you having any say on the matter. Although this may not be an issue for everyone, it is not unreasonable for your employees not wanting the entire organization, which could be thousands, hundreds of thousands wide, to have your contact details. So how do you utilize the benefits these channels offer without opening yourself up to security and control risks? When evaluating an employee communication tool, be mindful WhatsApp is a tool that is easy to use and your employees are already very familiar with and enjoy using. With that in mind, businesses need to consider this style of app, one that complements their other channels and gives a similar user experience to your employees, but one that is designed to be enterprise compliant. What I'm going to do now is show you an example of this. So if I just switch my screen here, went too far. There we go. So what you're seeing here is StaffConnect. We have an inbuilt chat feature. So you're seeing a demo account that we made for one of our clients, Worcester Bosch. Therefore, everything that you see here is public facing. So found within the app, we see that if we just click onto here we see chat. It's built in with the same ease of use of WhatsApp, the ability to use it for direct messaging. For instance, one of my colleagues here, very, very easy, very simple to use. Or, let's say you have projects going on, you can have, for instance, I have marketing here and a sales group here. It's very easy, it's very simple. And what's more, it is very much built into the app. So what are the advantages of having this simple to use inbuilt chat feature? The first and obvious advantage is the control you have. Now the chat feature is within company communications, behind their own firewall and back within their remit. Clear lines can be drawn on what the tool should be used for, i.e. business communications. Personal use, that can be left for WhatsApp or Messenger, leaving your inbuilt chat feature to solely be used for work, ensuring that those lines between the two, personal and business, they aren't blurred. So let's go back to the scenario with your employee leaving the organization. Now that the company has control, the employee's profile is deactivated and they no longer have access to any of the information or documents in their chats or any of the other corporate information on the app itself. Control has been relinquished by your employees and has been handed back to those operating and governing the system. So earlier, I also highlighted the alienating effect that might occur with employees using WhatsApp for work, or the bullying that might take place. An inbuilt chat feature, it won't directly solve this. Indeed, no channel can. However, by having chat within your mobile internal comms solution, if anything untoward has taken place and brought to the organization's attention, this content can be requested for and used as evidence, something that wouldn't be possible if your employees were using an authorized and unauthorized app like WhatsApp. Another benefit of an inbuilt chat module is that you'll have access to the entire company directory, wherever they are located, wherever you are located. If you were using WhatsApp, however, you only have access to those people in your company that you happen to have contact details for, significantly reducing your ability to communicate with your colleagues. So a final advantage of an inbuilt chat feature is to do with adoption rates. By having your instant messaging tool built into the solution, employees will only need to download one app as opposed to several, which in turn will increase adoption rates as employees can find all their communications within one easily accessible tool. Increasing adoption rates, making it accessible in one tool, increases employee engagement, which after all is the prime topic of this area. So, as I've mentioned, it's very easy to see and understand why your employees are using these apps like WhatsApp or Messenger. They're easy to use, familiar to use, and great to communicate with. But when you try bring them into the corporate world, the negatives you realize far outweigh the positives. Their lack of security and your lack of control can put any organization in a very difficult position. The solution, therefore, is to bring this form of instant messaging, modern form of communication into your communication channels by having an inbuilt enterprise chat feature in your employee engagement mobile app. So that brings the presentation to an end. I do hope you find it helpful and insightful around enterprise chat and the use of rogue apps. So what I'll do now, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them, and I'll try my best to answer them. On the control panel for the webinar, you should see a chat area near the bottom, so or even a questions area, I think there is. So type them there, and hopefully I'll be able to answer them for you. So we have a question here about the adoption rates thing, about two apps rather than one. Obviously, WhatsApp is already downloaded onto your phone, so not in that sense. But if you look at another provider, Facebook, Workplace by Facebook, there you have a mobile solution, great, and then the chat module or the messenger, which is a separate module. So this obviously means two apps for your employees to download, and just more effort, if that makes sense. So by having it inbuilt to the system, it just makes it far more easier for your employees. So we have another question here about what happens when there is bullying going on within the workplace. And so how would the administrators essentially bring that up? So with that, if there was anything found to, anything going on with the organization or something in particular with the chat, there was bullying or alienation going on within the company, with that, the administrators would come to, for instance, at StaffConnect, they would come to us, tell us of what's going on. We would be very easily able to pull that information from the system for them, and there it would be we would be able to give them access so they can use it to kind of any HR procedures that would be necessary. But I would say that the chats themselves, they are private for the various employees. So the chats themselves, the administrators won't have access to them. They would need to go through us to get the access, because we want to make sure that your employees, they feel that they can use it for the right reasons, but not feel that they're being constantly watched over. Any more questions? Yep, so we have one more question here about the different types of chats. So yeah, as I mentioned previously, so if I take StaffConnect, for example, on our, the inbuilt chat solution, we have two types of chats. We have the direct one-to-one chat. Again, anyone in the organization you can start a chat with, and it's got a searchable feature as well to make it easier. And then you have group chat, which we launched a few months ago, and it really is a brilliant way for non-desk workers mainly to talk about projects and communicate through that to make sure that one, it's easy to access for everyone, and two, it's that modern instant form of communication. Any other questions? right, great. Well, if there are no more, I don't think there are any more coming through, then I guess we will bring the webinar to a close. So I do hope you found it helpful. What I'll do is I'll put my contact details on screen. So yeah, as I said, I do hope you found it. It was a brief session, but I do hope you found it, interesting, insightful. And if you would like to find out about more about, Enterprise Chat, our thoughts on employee engagement, or StaffConnect, as a whole, as the company, then do get in contact, drop me a line, give me a call, and we can really get those discussions going and see where we can go from there. So, as I say, if there are no more questions, we'll end it there. I do hope you all have a good rest of your day, a good weekend, and thank you very much once again for joining us. Thanks.